Hello and welcome back to the Golfshake YouTube channel. My name is Ryan Rastall, PGA professional here at Howley Hall Golf Club in Leeds, and today we're having a little bit of fun with two drivers here. So I've got a really old one, so the Titleist 975J came out around 2001, and the brand new Wilson DynrPwr. We're going to hit these, put them head to head, and the reason being is we've obviously heard a lot in the media recently about the golf ball being dialed back and the distance being reduced, and that's going to affect every golfer on the planet. Now, what I wanted to test is whether there was any other way of potentially reining in some of the best players in the world, and for me, I believe driver head size is probably the easiest way of doing it. So we're going to hit shots with both of these drivers here today on the TrackMan. We're going to show you how far they both go, the averages, and also the dispersions of these two as well. So let's get to the TrackMan, let's hit some shots and see exactly what we find. So now we're going to hit a few with the 975J, okay? We can see straight away it's a lot smaller, same length in terms of the driver shaft. So we should see pretty similar club head speed. Now the only thing I think might affect it is the fact that the club head's so much smaller, I might not hit it as hard just because I'm scared that I'm not going to hit the middle of the face, all right? So it's been a while since I used a driver like this. I mean, when I first started playing golf, the 975D, which is the predecessor to this, was out on the market, and this would have been very similar to the first driver that I had in my bag. So let me hit a couple and let's see how we go. But I mean, straight away, I think it looks great behind the ball. That sort of colorway that the old Titleist DCI clubs used to have looks absolutely amazing. Definitely a more familiar sound as well. I mean, the ball flight I would expect to be maybe a little lower as well, just purely because of the sort of size and CC of the head and things like that. It's also quite weird teeing it as low as that with the driver, but as you can see, it's still above the top of the club, so I should still be able to hit up on it. But yeah, let's hit a few more. That felt like a pretty good hit. It was pretty straight. I mean, distance-wise, it's pretty good as well. I mean, we'll have a look at the numbers in a minute, but I think what we're probably going to see with this is that if I absolutely nail one out the middle of the face, I'm going to get pretty good distance with it. But if I don't, if I hit it out the heel or the toe, I think we're going to see a huge drop-off in distance. I would expect to see quite a difference between this and the Wilson when we take a look at the results. But let's hit a couple more. You know, the golfing purist in me absolutely loves this as well. I mean, just the look of it behind the golf ball for me, I don't know whether it's a mix of nostalgia and kind of, you know, just what I like to look for in a golf club, but it certainly suits my eye. Again, just feels really, really good off the face. Right, let's hit a few more with the Wilson and then do a bit of a comparison. So Wilson DynrPwr, the current driver that's out on the market, PKR2 face, crammed with technology. We've got the adjustability in there as well. So it's a 9-degree head. I've just knocked it down to 8 degrees, the Titleist being 8.5. So it should be fairly comparable between the two. Again, both have extra stiff shafts in as well. So let's have a bit of a hit. I mean, to start with, the size difference is certainly very, very noticeable when we look at the driver in that playing position. The head looks, you know, at least twice the size. I mean, straight away, I feel like I can go at this a bit more because I'm not scared of where it's going to go. Yeah, and that one wasn't right out the middle of the face. It was a little bit towards the bottom. It spun on me a little bit, but I can already see, looking at the numbers, it's pretty much matched any shot that I've hit with the Titleist one already. So I think that tells you a little bit about where we've come in the last, well, it's 22 years since that 975J was released. So in that time, we've obviously seen golf balls change a lot too. There's a lot going on in the media at the moment about, you know, reining the golf ball back in and kind of making it go shorter, not for the best players in the world, but for all of us. Yeah, which, you know, I'm kind of on the fence about a little bit, really. We'll see what happens when it comes in. I think there's other ways that we can kind of rein in some of the best players in the world, and like this test is hopefully going to show you today, the size of the drivers is a huge factor in why we're seeing such mammoth distances being hit by everyone at the moment. You know, the size of irons and things like that haven't really changed massively, but drivers have absolutely hugely. I mean, your average 3-wood now is pretty similar CC to what we saw in that 975J driver, so you're sort of getting the same kind of level of forgiveness that you were getting, you know, from a big-headed driver back in 2001, you're now getting from a 3-wood. So probably a better way to do it would be to make the head size smaller. We're going to see here, if you don't hit the middle of the face on that 975J driver, you're going to know about it. But let's hit a few more with the Wilson. I mean, this is an amazing driver. We've done a review of this on the channel as well, so you can check that out. Earlier on in the year we did this, as well as the carbon version of this as well. Very, very good. It's done really well at retail too. It's tested very well with everyone that I've seen that's reviewed this driver too, and found it to be absolutely exceptional, and right up there with some of the kind of more renowned names in the business when it comes to drivers, your TaylorMades, Callaways, Titleist and Pings of this world. You know, the DynrPwr really does hold its own. So let's hit a few more. Again, not out the middle by any means. It's gone straight down the middle of the fairway, and a decent distance. That was a little bit towards the toe end of the golf club there, but again, looking at the numbers that we're getting, pretty good. Right, let's take a look at them compared to each other and see exactly what we see when we look at the results. So when we compare the two and look at the results, we can see, I mean, it's quite surprising in a couple of different ways, really. One, if we look at the distance that we're hitting both, not as big a difference as I expected there to be honest. I think that lower spin and launch with the Titeist really shows up on here. So we can see the spin is 2,400 RPM. I have swung it a little bit more conservatively. You can see the club speed is down that little bit, so a couple of miles an hour less with the Titeist than it was with the Wilson. I think that was because I was scared of not hitting it out the middle of the face, and trying to find the center of the club face is obviously at a premium with a club like that, you know, with a smaller head and less forgiveness. So if we're just looking at the data here, so we can see the carry distance with the Titeist at 273 and 10 yards longer with the Wilson, right? So straight away, Wilson really, really good in terms of the carry distance. You can see the total distances pretty similar. So we're just under that 300 yards mark with the Titeist, but 304 with the Wilson, right? So only 4 yards difference in 22 years. Is that a big enough difference? Well, no. If you're just looking at it from a distance perspective, it's not. But let's have a look at the dispersion. And this is where we see the most surprising thing, right? So we can see the two ellipses there of the shots we've hit. The Wilson one, very, very good. Hardly missed a fairway there, and pretty much every shot, the consistency is right there. They're almost landing in exactly the same place. And, you know, pretty much within that kind of fairway, that 20 yards either side of the centre line, really, really good. You can see with the Titeist, whilst the good ones are exceptionally good, the bad ones are pretty bad. So you can see just a slight miss hit out the toe. It's missed the fairway quite considerably left, and then 2 or 3 even Healy ones that have just spun up a bit and gone off to the right-hand side. We're not hitting the fairway with those either. So you can see the real kind of technological advancement has come more in forgiveness than it has in gaining distance. If you've got any comments about this, please stick them in the comment section below, and make sure you keep watching our content here on the Golfshake YouTube channel to help you play more and play better. See you soon.